Welcome to Meet the Author, where you can join in on insightful conversations with best-selling and award-winning indie published authors. Your hosts today are Rob and Joan, who themselves are indie published authors, book publicists, and paranormal investigators with Tampa Bay Spirits, based in Tampa Bay, Florida. Thanks for dropping by. And now, on with the show.
Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Joan. We're really glad to have you here tonight. We're looking forward to being live again real soon. This is another pre-recorded evening with you all. We're missing our audience and can't wait to see you back here quickly.
This is a brand new episode, folks. You haven't seen it yet. And we're welcoming a return of authors Caleb and Linda Pirtle. And without much ado, let's bring them in. Hello.
Hello.
How is everyone?
Good.
We're really well. How about both of you?
Good.
Doing well.
We're really glad to have you back on. We enjoyed having you on before and couldn't wait to have you on again this time. What's new in your life? Who's that?
This is Piper, and she wants to be in the middle of everything. So
She is
Beautiful.
beautiful.
thank you.
She disappeared. She's camera
What
shy.
a beautiful colored poodle.
Yeah, she's party colored.
Yeah, I love her color. She's amazing. We love poodles.
Well, we're kind of partial to them ourselves. This is our third one.
We have a rescue this time. The last time we've had poodles before, but we got a rescue this time. So,
Well,
but
there's
she's black and white.
my books too. So
Oh, I know. They're not as pretty as Popper, though.
no,
Really,
At least they're not as pretty as she thinks she is.
I think she may be more pretty than she thinks she is. She's a gorgeous dog. She really is.
thank you very much, and thank you for having us today.
We're
Oh.
always glad to sit down and chat for a while.
There
Yeah.
you go.
About books and with two of our favorite authors. So
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
sort of be a
We
good
are
out.
we are with two of our favorite authors.
There you go.
And you're both, we just love your writing. Caleb, you've written a lot of books, over 80, I think. Am I remembering?
Somewhere between 80 and 90.
Yep.
It's
That's what I
like I
thought.
said, as soon as I realized I didn't want to dig ditches for a living, I decided I'd be a writer. Although ditch diggers make a lot more money.
So how old were you when you first started your first book?
You know, I've been writing all my life. Didn't do the first book till probably around 1970.
Okay.
I was travel editor at Southern Living magazine at the time and had done a lot of stories on Callaway Gardens. So they wanted me to write a book on Callaway Gardens, the unending season. Then we did XIT, the American Cowboy. And so that's when I first started writing books. But I've written newspaper and magazine articles most of my life.
And haven't you written scripts?
And have written a couple of film scripts.
Yeah.
One for TNT television and a miniseries for CBS.
That's amazing. What was the CBS miniseries?
My writing partner out in LA, Frank Q. Dobbs, and I were asked to write the script for Gambler 5, Playing for Keeps, which it was part of the Kenny Rogers franchise. You probably saw a lot of the Gamblers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dixie Carter and Lonnie Anderson.
Yes.
And then we did the Texas Rangers for TNT. It starred Tom Berenger.
That's wonderful.
That is so cool. Yeah.
Is it more difficult to write a script, or is it easier, or are they both just equally difficult?
You know, the thing is, basically all books should be written like scripts. And then you come back in and fill in the blanks. Because I know when I wrote the first script, I wrote it like a book. I mean, when we cut to the downtown scene, I told them where every store was, what it looked like, whether it was one story or two story, whether it was wooden sidewalks and a dusty street. And the producer said, Pirtle, just right, cut the downtown scene, and the director will figure out the rest of it. So in scripts, you set the scene and cut the dialogue. One of the interesting things is when they're trying to get actors to star in the various productions, they never read the scripts. They only read their dialogue. They have no idea what the story is. They just want to know what their dialogue sounds like.
What are my lines, right?
Yeah, what are my lines? And ironically, one of the great stories, Steve McQueen, when he got a script, the first thing he did was go through and start cutting his lines. He believed that the less you said, the better. And if you were in a scene and didn't say anything and you were Steve McQueen, you were more interesting because people wondered what you were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Yes.
And in reality, that's why books are better than movies, because in books, we can tell people what the point of view character is thinking.
It reminds me of that, the dialogue from Sunset. What was that? Where she says, we didn't need dialogue, we had faces. You know that movie?
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it though.
Yeah, it's about Sunset Boulevard, but it was a famous movie.
It probably was Sunset Boulevard.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
That was it. And she
said, let's write a movie. Go ahead.
We didn't need dialogue. We had faces, and that's true. Some people can say more with their face and their body language than a long script. I think there are a number of actors that I've really liked that were like that you could tell what they were feeling and what they were thinking through their face and body. I just love it.
Right.
Linda, how about if you tell us, and I know you're retired school principal and English teacher, and you want to tell us how you started writing?
I began writing on a dare. Caleb dared me to write a book, and I've never been able to back down from a dare, so I did it.
Basically, she asked me one night, she said, how could you go into that room all by yourself all day long and just write? You're totally antisocial. And I said, well, why don't you try it? And you'll find out how satisfactory it really is to create something. So she went in, slammed the door, and came out with the Mahjong Murders.
That's wonderful.
Read between those lines. Part of my bothering him.
Well, now you know he wasn't. Now you know he wasn't alone. All his characters were in there too.
Oh yeah, I discovered that during COVID when we were all locked down. Mm-hmm. Somebody made a comment on Facebook about being lonely and tired of being by themselves, and I said, "Well, I'm never by myself. I always have my characters."
There you go.
And that's the truth, and they're so real. I mean, I think that people, when they listen to authors talk, must think we're a little bit crazy, because it's like, we always say we go where the murders take us. I mean, where the characters take us. I'm reading Mahjong Murders as I'm trying to talk. Oops. This is the cover of Linda's book, Mahjong Murders, that she was locked in that room and then came out with that. But, the characters take us on quite a ride, and they won't go where they don't want to go. And you can try and make them go there, but if
you really have to get to know your characters.
Oh, absolutely.
I think with this project we're working on now, I developed some characters. I did the what I would call the resume for our character. But I really didn't know that character until I let that character do and say and feel some things in the story.
Right.
And then they become alive. And
you knew his backstory. You knew his backstory or her backstory, but you didn't know their personality and who they were.
Right.
Yep. I understand that completely. You want to tell us what that project is that you're working on?
Well, it's a new one. Caleb and I are both working on a project with how many other authors?
7 other authors.
7 other authors. We have created a town in Texas in the hill country called Magnolia Bluff. One of our authors has even drawn a little map so that we can get a visual of the town, the square. We have a central green. It's next to the Burnett Reservoir. When we first started talking about this, we decided that we needed to do that characterization so that everybody would know who our main characters really are, what they do, a little bit about their personalities and the goals that they would have in the story that we were going to write. And then we shared that with each other. One promise that we made to each other is that no one will kill off my main character. I won't kill theirs.
Yeah, and don't shoot the dog.
That's
Don't
right.
ever shoot the dog.
Never.
Hair will come out.
And as we ride along, for example, in my book, I have a sheriff. Well, as soon as I created the sheriff, I sent him out to all the other authors. So if they needed a sheriff, they knew who he was, what he looked like. Somebody else created 2 police officers and sent them out. So each book will have the same characters.
Wow.
That's really a great
So
idea.
we're just running back and forth with the same town, the same characters. And it's called the Magnolia Bluff Crime Chronicles.
Crime Chronicles.
That's
okay.
wonderful.
Cool.
That sounds really
When can we
exciting.
expect that to be coming out?
Well, the first book will be coming out in March.
March.
Okay.
Written by C.W. Halls.
March
Uh-huh.
2022.
Right. The Crimson Hat Murders. My book will be coming out in April, which is Eulogy in Black and White. And Cindy Davis will be coming out in May. She's book number 3. And I don't have the title of her book yet.
Okay, cool.
But each book will come out for 9 consecutive months. And we'll just see what happens.
That is a really exciting concept.
It is.
I like that. Has it been done before? I don't
know if it has.
I don't ever remember hearing of anything like that.
No.
I know people have done anthologies where they all wrote off of the same theme, but not the same town and the same characters.
Yeah.
And I know of people that have done anthologies where they worked together as a group and wrote a book collectively, but I don't remember anything like this. This is really exciting.
Well, we thought it was, and none of us could remember if there had been anything quite like it published and written. So we thought, this is brand new. It's a new idea. And the wonderful thing about the digital world of publishing, if you come up with a new idea, you might as well try it out. It just might sail.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. I think it's really exciting, and it'll be really interesting to people because you've written series, and people always want to know when is the next book coming out.
Yeah, they like the characters.
Yeah, and they want to know.
Also, we have the distinctive opportunity when the first book comes out, you have 8 other authors promoting it. The same way about each other book, so you don't feel like you're an author sitting there alone on an island. And you're the only one who has a book to promote. You have a whole bunch of people who occupy that same island, and we're all trying to help each other out.
That's awesome.
You and I have discussed writing is a cooperative venture. It's not a competitive.
Well, another unique aspect of this project is that no 2 authors, with the exception of maybe Cozy Mystery, write in the same genre. So we'll really be pulling things from that little community that are totally different. Right.
So it will be more like a real town because not everybody in a town are all the same or think the same or.
That's true.
So you're going to really flesh out this town, Magnolia Bluff.
That's right. We have a coffee shop. We have a little downtown cafe. One of my characters has a beauty salon called the Head Case. We have Courthouse. One of my characters is the head librarian, so we have a library.
A newspaper
office, police station. We have a bed and breakfast, and we have a lounge that's kind of on the edge of the county line. You know,
Okay.
really happen. So one of the authors has written a lot of fantasy, sci-fi. One of the authors is Jim Callan, and he has a Father Frank series, and he's going to have Father Frank in it.
Awesome.
I was teasing our pastor at our Presbyterian church in Tyler when we lived down there. We attended. We're really good friends with him. And I said, you know, you are going to be in my book, so I surely hope you like your character, and I'll try not to kill you. We have a good group of authors.
You know, he's typical Stuart Baskin, prim and proper Presbyterian minister with his black robe. In our book, he's the Reverend Billy Bob Baskin.
Billy Bob.
Billy Bob.
And you know, the real Baskin is really down to earth and very caring and considerate. So you have to keep that personality going if you're modeling it after a real live human being.
That you told that you were modeling it after him. You better mind your P's and Q's.
Oh, I do.
That's really, seriously, this is really an exciting concept.
It sure is.
I'm really excited about it. I can't wait.
April, you said, right?
March.
March is
the first one.
Yours comes out in April.
Mine's in April. You're right.
That's really exciting.
What we've done, if I pull another author's character into a scene, then I send that scene to that author to make sure that I'm staying true to that character.
Good.
And also, you're going to need to mesh it up with the timeline too. You don't want to never cross the streams.
Yeah, right.
That's correct.
Yeah, but it's just like Reverend Billy Bob Baskin. You wouldn't want to have him in one book bald-headed, and in the next book with brushy white hair, and the next book with slick black, greasy black hair.
Exactly.
Right.
You also wouldn't want him cantankerous and grumpy and cheery and helpful in another book. So, yeah, it does.
We're trying to stay true to our characters, and it was one of these things that when we first started it's kind of like going to the pool to swim, and everybody was a little unsure about sticking their toe in the water.
Yeah.
What's going to happen next?
Yeah.
And probably by now, I know at least a half a dozen of us are planning on doing our second book in the series. So
that's great.
Magnolia Bluff may live beyond 1 year.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
I really like this concept. I hope you guys are very successful with it.
Thank you. I hope we are too.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone else does too.
It's like one author said, somebody in one of our books is going to have to explain why one little town with 10,000 people has so many dadgum murders.
Well, you know, we really love Midsummer Murders. That's the BBC.
We do as well.
Yes, but we always say at the end of the show, we're never going to visit Midsummer.
Take that off the book, right?
I mean, there is no Midsummer. We know it's a made-up place, but you know, we've had authors on from England and talked to them about that, and they said everybody says that here too. Don't ever go to Midsummer, and if you see anyone in a black hoodie wearing gloves, run.
That's right. Beware of long shadows.
Yes.
Well, before it gets much later and before the commercial break, we'd like to do Linda's Got a Book giveaway, which I'm sure everybody that's watching was saying, where's the book giveaway? Well, here it is. Linda, you want to tell us a little bit about the book Scrabbled Secrets?
I would love to. Scrabbled Secrets is the fourth book in my series entitled The Games We Play. The main character is Lillian Prestridge, and she has a white standard poodle named Eli. And if you look at the RV on the cover of the book, it's a bright lime green.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
She had it painted so that she could travel incognito. Ironic in itself.
Yeah. No one would notice that, would they?
That's right. But
for the huge standard poodle, you know, that's very
low key.
down low.
Yeah. And she is on her way to Canada with a young lady named Sammy Nightingale, who's a young Navajo woman who has appeared in the previous book, the Tarot Terrors book that we talked about the last time I visited with you. Sammy's aunt has been in a plane crash in Canada, and it took a while to discover exactly where the plane went down. But her Aunt Sophia has a history that most people wouldn't have the honor of participating in. She was an accountant for a mob boss, and she testified against him in court. So Sophia has spent her whole life, her whole career in witness protection. But she surfaced, and therein lies the problem. They are after Sophia.
And that's how she ended up in Canada.
That's how she ended up in Canada.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was wondering now, her aunt, and she's a Navajo. How did that work? But you want to tell about Linda's giveaway?
The book giveaway, for those that haven't read it yet, the first, the first two people to email lsgp2019@yahoo.com will win an ebook copy of Scrabbled Secrets.
Okay, so let's just repeat that. The first two people to email lsgp2019@yahoo.com will win an ebook of Scrabbled Secrets. And those of you who are living
Hopefully
and
all of you are
listening, hopefully. Oh, well, we'll let the dead listen too.
They can listen to
all those who are living and listening in foreign countries. You can run to your keyboards now and type your little fingers away, because you can win an ebook too. And we have listeners all over.
Yeah, and Linda will make it happen for you.
Yes.
I certainly will. Lillian and Sammy, and here's where the Navajo and the Native American comes into the story. To make their escape, they go from one reservation to the other. And you would be surprised at the small tribal reservations between Canada and Texas. And they follow the Underground Railroad that many of the slaves escaped from the South.
Very interesting.
That's really interesting. That sounds really great.
It's pretty exciting in places. They run into some trouble.
Yeah, I'm sure that they do along the way. I wanted to let you know about their website also. Their website is calebandlindapirtle.com. And so I'm going to spell this now for all of you that are listening. CalebandLindapirtle.com.
Yeah, and go there. You've got a lot of sections in that. You have the book of the moment, author of the week, other articles, right? That you put out on a regular basis. Very interesting.
Yeah, we write our columns, but the key is to help other authors promote their books.
Right.
Caleb and Linda are some of the biggest supporters of authors that I've ever heard of. And go to their website, you won't be disappointed. And that's the truth. And they are so supportive of other people. Here we have Caleb's Facebook, Caleb J. Pirtle. That's self-explanatory. Linda's Facebook, linda.pirtle.10. Caleb's Twitter at Caleb Pirtle. Linda's Twitter at Linda Pirtle1. And Caleb, we'll do your email when we do your book giveaway.
Right.
Are there any of your other books you guys would like to talk about in this first half of the show?
No, but I will add something to Scrabble Secrets. Usually an author never knows what's going to happen, even though they plot it out nicely sometimes, as Linda does. They never really know what's happening.
Right.
I'm in my office writing, and all of a sudden I hear a scream. I come running in, and I asked Linda, "What's wrong?" She said, "Look at here. The Native Americans had an underground railroad," which is an absolutely perfect transition for the escape. Never aware that it happened until she was 50% of the way through the book. Those wonderful little surprises is what
there you go
about the work.
Just learn so much when you begin your research. In every book you write, you're going to have to research.
Yes, I agree. Actually, it's what I like to do the best. I love doing the research. I love it. I've always liked history, so I've always liked reading about history, and now researching. I love going down. I've been researching for years about Jezebel, from the Bible. And it's very hard to find accurate information. I want to do being the Jezebel that we all know about. I wanted to find out what got her there, okay? And she's a Phoenician, born of the king and queen of Phoenicia, who were the high priest and priestess of their god. And the way she was raised was so different than the way the Israelites raised their children. Queens actually had an equal say to kings, which we all know that did not happen in Israel. And it was fascinating to me to see the different things, but also it's very difficult to find out all the little nitty-gritty things you want to find out about the way that they lived and the clothing that they wore and how the jewelry was, and what their houses, and in their case castle, would have been built from, and how they were built, and how many rooms, and where their servants lived. And that's what I like digging out. And that you can't do on Google. That you have to go to universities and find professors who've studied that for years.
or time travel back.
Yeah, it's interesting you talking about her clothing and jewelry. Way back when I got started, I have the opportunity to office with one of the great historians in Texas history, R. Henderson Shuffler. And Shuffler, who was well known all over the world as a historian, once told me, he said, the only true history book is a Sears and Roebuck catalog. Exactly the way it was. It has not yet been embellished by some author who's picked up by another author and decided to embellish it again. And by the fifth book, you're not for sure what they wore.
That is so true. If you read the Sears and Roebuck catalog from the 40s, you would know what everybody had in their kitchen and wore on their back and had for Easter Sunday dinner, and how they dressed to go to the church on Sunday.
That's the way it was.
That's really the truth. Don't you remember going through the Sears catalog and circling out what you wanted? And
yeah.
It was this thick.
And then you went to the store and hoped that they had it.
You can always get it from the catalog.
Right.
You want to take a break?
I think it's about that. It's a good segue, I guess, at this point. And then
the Sears catalog.
Well, the Sears catalog. No, a word from Sears.
We're going to catalogs.
So everybody sit back, relax. We have another book giveaway coming up, and we're going to talk a little more in depth about some of Caleb's books as well. And so stay with us.
At Indie Booksource, you can shop by genre or by author, and you will be buying direct from the author's main purchase link. We offer hundreds of titles in formats that include ebooks, paperback, hardbound, and audiobook. Support an indie author. Visit indiebooksource.com today.
In a world where advancing technology is outpacing crime solving, the O'Rourke team continues their relentless pursuit of justice. Bioprints is the first book in the O'Rourke crime novel series where it's high-tech crime versus old-fashioned detective work. Visit carternovels.com or amazon.com and check out Bioprints today.
2021 just got better. Your favorite shows from WLFE DB Radio can now be found on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Yes, we now video stream to both of those platforms. Search for your favorite shows like Where's My Sage, Inside the Drag Closet, Across the Pond, Everything Yet Nothing, Paratalk Radio, Step into the Paranormal, The Creepy Parlor, Just Cindy, and more. Now you won't miss an episode. Remember, follow Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Make sure you subscribe and follow your favorite WLFE DB radio shows. This award-winning thriller has it all. Murder, political intrigue, mob revenge, and a bit of romance. Not to mention strong female and male characters with a storyline that could be tomorrow's headline news. Now for a quick peek into our story. To help solving a nationwide plot involving the assassination of several U.S. senators, the O'Rourke team is called in. To complicate matters, they now have to work against the clock to rescue one of their own. You see, the mob didn't take too kindly to the O'Rourke team's involvement last spring. It seems to have led to the indictment of their boss. Will they succeed? You're listening to WLFE DB Radio. Now, back to our program.
Hello, we're back.
Hi, we're back.
That didn't take that long, did it?
No.
Glad you guys didn't leave.
But I did like that video.
Yeah, that's a good looking video.
The clone drones
The clone
video?
drones.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We did it ourselves.
Oh, wonderful. It's really intriguing.
Oh, good. It's supposed to be. We love the voiceover artist that did the voiceover too. She's really good, Jenna Grover. If anyone needs her, you can find her on WLFEDB.com.
Okay.
She's good. So
let's talk about you,
Caleb. What is your giveaway going to be?
My giveaway is going to be 2 ebooks of the first book in my Ambrose Lincoln series called Secrets of the Dead. And
there we go.
It's a historical thriller set back just prior to the days of World War II. And it's kind of interesting how Ambrose Lincoln came about. As I'm wont to do, I was up late at night, roaming through the channels, going from History Channel to the Discovery Channel to the Travel Channel. And all of a sudden, I ran across a documentary of some experiments that had taken place in the 1930s when the U.S. military and government was trying to really figure out behavioral modification and mind control. And they started out with a lot of volunteers. Some came from prisons, some came from the military, some came from asylums. But basically, they used hallucinogenic drugs and electric shock treatments to see if they could remap and reprogram someone's brain. And I was thoroughly fascinated. And I sat there and I heard a voice beside me that said, "That's me." And that was Ambrose Lincoln. He said, "They erased my memories. They took my mind away." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because they thought if you sent somebody behind enemy lines for any kind of secret mission, that if you had lost your mind and lost your memories, you weren't afraid. And a man who's not afraid can accomplish things that people with common sense wouldn't even try. So I said, well, how did you realize that they had done what they had done to you? He said, I went to my wife's funeral and I stood there above the casket and looked down into the figure of my wife in the casket, and her face was as unfamiliar as the face on a secondhand magazine. So I turned off the television, went and sat down to my computer. I knew it was going to be a long night. And so that was Secrets of the Dead, and then went on for 3 more.
That's really
Wow.
sad to think about.
Yeah,
But I mean, we did do those kind of experiments.
we did.
So-
And
Yeah, and so many people don't know that.
I know,
And most
right?
people who read this think it's just abject fiction, but we did all sorts of strange things that
Not just in the
government
30s.
didn't know about.
Pardon me?
I said we did things that the government would just as soon we didn't know about.
Correct.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah, but not just in the 30s. I mean,
Oh.
I know of some things that went on in the 70s that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
I mean,
Probably went on last night that we'd be
Oh.
shocked.
I'm sure. But I know that in the 70s that they dropped light bulbs that had viruses in them into the subway. They'd dropped the light bulb. It looked like, just a light bulb broke by accident. And then they would track how far the illnesses would go from that New York City subway to all across the world, because they wanted to know how to buy and engineer a weapon, how to weaponize viruses.
We're still doing that. All the countries are doing that. Just look back at last year.
I wasn't going to say that, but Yep.
I'm going to say
yep, I agree.
because we don't know the truth. We don't really know the truth.
Right.
No,
Right.
but we have pretty good imaginations, and we know what they've done in the past. I mean, I know for a fact that they used to. No, I won't get into that.
So
I'm
what?
not going to get into. No, I'm not going to get into that for a very good
I
reason.
write
Just-
about a poodle. It's just happy. You know?
If she writes happy murders,
Uh,
I like the murders in dark alleys.
happy, uncomplicated murders. Just
speaking of happy, let's specify or verbalize Caleb's book giveaway. The first 2 people to email calebpirtle2@gmail.com will win an ebook copy of Secrets of the Dead.
Yes.
We did it.
I'm glad you got that out.
We got there.
And again, all of you that are listening and living in other countries, hey, this is your chance.
Yeah,
It's an ebook.
It's ebook central tonight.
Yeah, and it was last week too.
Now, is Secrets of the Dead all by itself, or is there other versions or other?
There's 4 in the Ambrose Lincoln series.
Okay,
Here's
so that's
another
all.
one.
Dead, Conspiracy of Lies, Night Side of Dark, and Place of Skulls.
Yeah, Night Side of Dark. And so I've noticed that Night Side of Dark and Secrets of the Dead both have that face in the background overshadow.
All 4 books do.
That's what I was going to ask.
Is that Ambrose?
That's
No,
Ambrose.
that's Ambrose, the face.
No,
No,
that's a girl's face.
That
Oh,
looks
okay.
like a
It looked
woman to
more-
me.
I was going to say, well, you never know.
He has eyelashes to envy, huh?
Haven't you noticed though? A lot of men do. It's like, seriously, dude, you got those eyelashes.
Not fair.
Some of our grandsons are just like, whew. I'm like, save some for the girls, will you? Yeah, I know, and I noticed this is a different face, isn't it? And
No, it's the same face.
it's
Same
the
face.
same
The
woman.
same girl.
Just
Okay,
the shadows are different on it.
okay, yeah. Well, I think she had more makeup on here. I
Mhm.
can see eyeliner.
Okay, let me ask you this: is the figure that's walking down the road and
That's
both the
Ambrose.
covers. Is that Ambrose?
That's Ambrose.
If it's not, he missed a real good opportunity to be.
Yeah.
That's the image that Ambrose is supposed to be.
Oh, okay, good. That's what I meant originally.
Kind of ironically, the art director who did all 4 covers, I had sent her the manuscripts. She was to work on them. She's really, really good. And I didn't hear from her for about 6 months. And I kept emailing, and about a year passed, and I kept emailing. I finally got an email back. She said, I have had a terrible disease. I've been comatose, and I just now started to redevelop my energy and strength. And she said, when I woke up, I realized that I needed to get your 4 covers to you as quickly as possible. She said, I reached over to the shelf beside the bed, and these are the 4 covers that were there. So apparently she created them while she was comatose and didn't realize what she was doing. And
That's
they're absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so let's put those up again because that's crazy.
That's kind of sci-fi in itself, isn't it?
It is. But, we're paranormal investigators, so.
It's happened.
Yeah. We kind of run into things like that a lot.
A lot of things happen we can't understand. And
Absolutely.
if we understand it, we can't explain it.
Right. And even if we think we understand it, I'm not 100% convinced we always really do.
Yeah.
I mean, we have DVDs that people are talking that aren't there. And we know they're not there because we are there. And we're taking we have digital recordings, EVPs.
Recordings, yeah.
And people will be talking that aren't there. And very clearly speaking, some of them, a lot of them not so clearly. And you might think you know who that is or what they are, but do we really? I mean, I don't know. Is it the entity? Is the entity a ghost of a dead person? Is it somebody from a different reality, from, a different time and space continuum? It could be so many different, it could be an alien.
Is it a spirit that leaves the world, or someone from a spiritual world, or someone talking between?
I think I hear one now.
Sounds like a disembodied voice to me.
I think we got our delivery.
Anyway, the cue was absolutely perfect.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah.
You heard the wolf howling and everything. Yes, that was.
But I want to ask you a question that I've been in the back of my mind for a long time. Considering what you do, how come you haven't written a series based on ghost hunters?
Oh my gosh! Get it out there, Joan. I have had a series in my head for probably 5 or 6 years. I know who the characters are. They're as real to me as you guys are. I know who they are. I know why they do what they do. And I haven't written it. And I've got to get it out there. Got to get it. I've got to put it down on paper. I do.
But because a book in your mind doesn't exist until it's on paper.
Right. And this one is it's written as if they are departed. The spirits in it are departed people. They're ghosts. So, that's the way that's written.
Be sure and do a script with it as well, because those stories people enjoy reading and watching.
Yeah. Well, this would be a really good one because it's a wife who's a medium, okay? And her husband is a homicide detective.
Perfect.
And he gets murdered in the first book.
Yeah.
So then he's her partner. Her ghost partner, so to speak.
Chapter.
Yeah. First book, first chapter.
That's a great concept.
I like that.
Yeah, it needs to be there. And the reality is my Ambrose Lincoln thrillers were just to be historical thrillers set in and against the backdrop of World War II. And I didn't realize it until I had written it and people had read it and asked about it. It has a lot of paranormal in it that I didn't realize was in it. But those sorts of things happen. It's not written as paranormal, but there's certain things that happen that if you look back, you think, well, I wonder what that meant.
Well, how you got it was paranormal.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think every book needs a little bit of paranormal in it. And in my Tarot Terrors and Scrabble Secrets, Sammy's grandfather, who was a chief, appears to Lillian on the computer. And so I'm carrying that paranormal into the Sammy Nightingale series that I'm working on, that are on hold right now while we work on Magnolia Bluff.
Does his face appear or just his voice on the computer?
His face appears on the computer. And in the second book that I wrote, the third book, Tarot Terrors, he appears in the marketplace in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
And passes to her an object that only she would understand the significance of it. And then he disappears.
Awesome.
But in Scrabbled Secrets, he appears to Sammy, who is always overly protective of his granddaughter, in the shape of a wolf.
Awesome. That's very indigenous person, especially Navajo tribe. It really believes in shapeshifters, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, they won't even say the word shapeshifter.
No, they won't. But
because it calls up the shapeshifter. So Skinwalker, yeah. That's what they won't say, Skinwalker. Yeah. Now he made me say it.
Whoops.
Great.
I'd like to hear that bark again.
You guys will tell us if you see anything behind us, right?
I will do so. If you see us ducking, you all run.
Okay. All right, we will. Our dog will get it.
Boring, but Papa got in her crate and went to sleep.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, our dog likes to sleep in her crate too. It's like a safe space. We don't ever crate her, but we always leave it open, and then it's her little. She likes
to go in there at night. Yeah. Spends a little bit of time here. Yeah, a little bit of time here, a little bit of time there.
No, we never close the door. We leave it open all the time with cushy things in there, blankets for her to fluff up.
So we got about 10 minutes. No, about 10 minutes left at the most. Lonely Night to Die. You want to mention a little bit about that one?
That's the book that contains 3 novellas in it. Lovely Night to Die, Lonely Night to Die, and Lovely Night to Die, Lonely Night to Die, and Rainy Night to Die. And it follows. It's a modern day thriller series with a CIA operative assassin who's gone rogue because he and the CIA don't see eye to eye. And so he's one of these type of people who shows up to help people who don't know they need help, but in the process stays hidden from the CIA who's out to get him. So it's kind of one of those revolving thriller series.
Interesting.
That sounds really good.
Yeah.
And I'm now that I finished my Magnolia Bluff book, and thank God I'm just about to the end of the editing stages. As we all know, writing a book is wonderful. Editing your book will drive you absolutely nuts, and will certainly drive your wife over the cliff. Right.
Because she has to edit it also.
There you go.
And it's not that she wants to edit it or needs to edit it. It's that you better make sure that if she edits something, it's corrected. Yes, what Linda has put on that paper.
There you
I
go.
like little notes in the margins. Are you sure?
Sure you want to go there, right?
So Caleb lives with his editor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm now fixing to start the fourth novella in that series. So
Okay.
I'll try to get it out between now and when Magnolia Bluff comes out.
That'll
Cool.
be great. People have that to look forward to. Thanks for sharing that.
Mhm.
I don't know if you heard Paul Hollis when he said that actually it was a meme that he put out. And then we talked about it on here, how, Paul writes the Hollow Man series. And he said, they always tell you to write what you like to read. He said, and you do. When you write your first book, it's about what you like to read. And then after you have to reread it 3,568 times, you don't like it anymore.
It's all terrible.
It just made me laugh so hard because there were some sentences that we probably rewrote 30 times, and still weren't. Sometimes you just have to throw them out. You're like, that's not saying what I
Not
want
supposed to be
say.
there.
Mm-hmm.
You don't appreciate a book you've written till about 5 years have passed, and you go back and pick it up. You find
Yes.
in there, and you think this is pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't remember it being that good. Or you hope to God the libraries have thrown it away.
Yeah, one of the two, right?
You ask yourself, did I really write that?
But based on what Paul Hollis said, and I'm a big Paul Hollis fan. I love his Hollow Man series. He has a real gift.
And those were based on his real life. So
as he said, he was told, you need to write what you want to read. Charles Dickens said, you need to write what readers want to read.
Well, if you want to sell it, that's a true thing to say. I guess we better close.
Finding the readers that want to read it.
That's right.
I think we're coming
to the end of the
point
show
where we need to close out. Want to thank you guys for coming back on and
we always enjoy sitting down for a chat.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
well,
great.
We'll have to have you back for a third time for sure.
Yes. So right now we're going to move you over just like that.
Okay.
That didn't hurt, did it?
No.
Okay.
I got a crick in my neck.
Don't blame us for that. Okay. Do you have anything you want to add tonight?
Just say stay tuned. Don't forget that after us comes Inside the Drag Closet.
Right.
Sorry, guys. I always forget the name of your show. And
I did want to
I've only
put a little
said it
plug
many times.
in. We have a new store on our website, indiebooksource.com. We've got all sorts. We've got T-shirts. We've got coffee mugs, reading-oriented, meet the author-oriented. So get a chance to drop in and look at the store. Appreciate some input. If there's other items that you'd like to see, we'd be happy to help you out with that. So I guess until next time.
That's all, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us here on Meet the Author. Make sure you stay up to date with our show by clicking like, follow, and share. And you can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and more. See you next time on WLFE-DB.com.
You've been listening to WLFE-DB.com, where our shows are your shows.